Welcome back to the Always Thinking Mindset channel, where we give you positive vibes and simple rules to achieve your goals. Now, in today's video, we ask the age old question of should I buy the single family properties or multifamily properties in real estate? Which one is more beneficial? We will go over an overview of the pros and cons. But before we start, if you like this video, if you get any kind of value from it, give it a thumbs up. It does help the algorithm. Don't worry, no subscription necessary. Unless you love the channel and you checked out my other videos, then I give you permission. But let's go ahead and get started with the first rule. Now, the first rule, what are the pros and cons from a single family home, also from a multi-family home? Let's start with a single family home. The pros of a single family home is that it is a single family home. It is more affordable. You're able to attack the property better. You also have one tenant occupying the house, so you're able to deal with that just one tenant, right? As a multifamily, now you have multiple tenants, which means multiple problems, multiple issues, more balancing. But in the end, whether you like to go single family or multifamily, it's still the best investment strategy in real estate, regardless of the two. It's just how much work do you want to do? Now, the con with the single family is that it's only single family, right? That means if you have 10 single family properties, guess what? You have 10 individual homes you got to worry about. And with the multifamily, if you have 10 tenants, it's usually under one building, one roof, one concern, one headache. Here, single family, we have multiple headaches, multiple times. So, in the end, whatever suits you best as a landlord and you're able to benefit from that, then you're able to go with the best option here. Also, with the single family home, you also, you have different, how would you say, criteria to meet concerning the home, whether it's insurance, expenses, stuff like that. And we'll get into that more later. The thing is, with single family homes, you will have to literally buy again and again and again. You're sort of in this building acquiring phase, right? And with a multifamily, which is usually consistent of apartments, you just make one huge purchase. It's a huge purchase, but it's just one purchase, and you're able to monitor, attack, real estate there, have it under your belt, and hopefully go through the whole motion of profiting, making, profit in the end to cover expenses, including rent. But, in the end, I can go back and forth with this whole single family home versus multifamily apartments. And you got to do a lot of research. This is just a general review. I might make a video by itself just for that and go down a list. Let me know what you think on the topic of that. But let's go ahead and go on to what's called the second rule of expenses, right? When you get into real estate, you kind of look for risk. You learn how to mitigate the risk. You learn what to take on, how much you can take on, because as an investor, you never want to bite off more than you can chew, right? I'm going to repeat that again. You never want to bite off more than you can chew. It gets overwhelming. Banks don't like it. It causes stress. It just breaks you down, your family down. So never do nothing that you can't lift. Think of it as weights, right? Whenever you're at the gym and you're lifting weights, you're not going to start off at 500s or 300s whenever you're chest building. But at the same time, you got to slowly acquire property in order to build. Just, do what you can, do what's comfortable for you, learn how to mitigate risk, if anything. But let's get to expenses. Expenses with a single family home, yes, right? It's more affordable because, you have a few toilets. Maybe tenants are going to call about other stuff, which is affordable, right? A lot of it has to do with you just calling somebody out there, whether it's a plumber, electrician, the switch is out. You have one single family property to worry about. And usually the costs are low concerning single family homes. Now, with a multi-family apartment complex, you're going to deal with commercial, right? Whenever you call somebody, it's big bills. You're in the big boy league, so you get big boy bills. It usually has to do with commercial businesses. And the plumbing, from anything from AC to plumbing to electrical, is going to cost you a pretty penny. So, in the end, I get it. You major risk, major reward, but you got to learn how to balance that, because that will eat at anything that you're trying to build, especially if you're not ready for it. With expenses, also, single family homes, just depreciation on the home is generally well on a single family home, but not as much as a multifamily home, or multifamily apartments, because you're going to get what's called cost segregation. That's a whole video in itself. But just the returns are bigger. You get way more tax benefits. So everybody will say, well, why not just start off commercial? And it's okay, right? It depends on you and what you're willing to do. But as I always say, you got to crawl before you walk, because if you have no experience as a landlord and you don't know how bills work, insurance policies are, tenants disputes, evictions, then you are going to be in the shock of your lifetime with commercial. That's why they say always start off small, go with a single family home, get a few tenants, learn how to manage properties, and then slowly build your way up to commercial. This is probably the best way to do it, because expenses can eat up a lot of what you think. You pretty much put a feeling of what you think you're going to spend on it, but it ends up being more than what it is, right? And it ends up going to your emergency reserves if you have emergency reserves. But you don't want to be that landlord that's always struggling, never able to fix stuff, and just stay away from it. Always be prepared. Always have funds ready to repair, to maintain the property, whether it's a single family home or a multifamily apartment, right? Don't be that slum landlord that never picks up his phone, and next thing you know, your tenants are taking you to court. But anyways, this leads to my last rule of qualifying, right? When you have a single family home, you usually get banks willing to lend to you more. Everybody's in the market for buying a single family home, usually families, investors, you name it. So the loan process is usually a better process, easier process, faster process, because they deal with so many homes, especially in the middle class. But it's so easier to qualify depending on credit score, your history, your salary. There's other factors that go into it. But as a single family home, it's not that hard, right? And I think Fannie Mae and the rest of them, they can give you up to like 10 loans. You have to look into that. But in the end, a single family home is so much easier to qualify than a commercial loan, right? And this is where it brings me to my next point. When you have multifamily property, and you have such as apartments, you have a bunch of tenants. Now you're in the big boy league. So these banks, if you end up getting a commercial loan, usually comes with a 5 to 7 year term, and they amortize 25 to 30 years depending on your loans and requirements. But you have you can come up with a balloon payment. A balloon payment is something that, at the end of this term, they want all their money back. And we're not talking about a few thousands. I mean, this can be excessive, especially when you're buying $1 million properties, right? They want all that up front, or they want you to refinance. But it's just a bigger cost when it's related to multifamily. It's a little harder to qualify, right? It's going to take longer because they got to do their due diligence to see if the property is even worth it. And you got to understand, as a multifamily, there whenever there's a seller and you are the buyer, they don't have to disclose everything, right? In a single family home, usually there's laws around it. Sellers disclosures. They try to tell you about the property. What's it missing, what's it been worked on. Multifamily, good luck, right? It's up to you. You have this usually 30, 60, or 90-day option, depending on how much you work in the contract. But it is literally up to you. And we're not talking a few $100s, folks. We're talking thousands of dollars that are in repair waiting for you. Because the saying is, if you buy multifamily, that's just somebody's headache or other people's problems that you're going to inherit as a landlord. Now, if you are savvy, if you've been down the road of managing properties, and you've had your single family homes and you want to step it up, good, good job. But also just be prepared, whether you do single family homes or multifamily. They're both great investments, especially for the future, especially if you start young. it is going to take a lot of work. Nothing easy, nothing hard comes easy, but at the same time, you are investing this for your future, for your family, for building the wealth. And that's what I tell everybody is because the reason landlords deal with these problems because they see past all the repairs, past all that. Because, single family homes and multifamily homes, properties just keep going up. I don't think I've ever had a property that just kept going down. But just through time, real estate is the greatest outlet and avenue to build. And there's other ways to leverage your properties to buy more property, and that's a whole different video. But that pretty much sums up what this video is about to whether you should do a single family, buying multiple single family homes or just buying one, multifamily apartment complex. But they do have their pros and cons. There's a lot to discuss, but this video is just a general overview of what to look out for and what do you think is best considered for you. Leave your comments. I want to hear whether it's a single family home or you like doing commercial and multifamily. Whatever is beneficial for you, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, we will speak soon.